Well, it's another unique freshie from the house of Issey Miyake. This one is L'Eau Super Majeure. If you're a fan of aquatic fragrances, but you want something that just does things differently, this is going to be another review you're going to want to check out. Hey guys, welcome back to Real Scent Review. Tonight I have another stunner from the house of Issey Miyake. This one is a little bit of a weird one, I will admit right off the top. It might be a little bit more mature and slightly challenging than a lot of other things on the market, but that's why this interests me so much. That's why I want to share it with you so badly. In the past, I've reviewed a fragrance called L'Eau d'Issey Pour Homme Intense, also by Issey Miyake, and that one was a fresh fragrance that did things differently. It had heavy notes of florals and smoke. And this one here, I want to say goes down the same road as that one, but this still does things differently. So I'll say this, if you were a fan of that fragrance, you're probably going to enjoy this one. So let's get started with the presentation here. This is a 150 milliliter bottle. This actually has the distinction of being the largest bottle in my collection. Yeah, who would have thunk? A relatively rare, little known fragrance, yet it happens to be the largest in my large collection. Anyway, I thought I'd throw that out there. Interesting fact. You can see here, the bottle has the tall plastic cap, although it's made to look metallic. The glass has a gradient. It starts off transparent glass and turns into a smoky bluish gray the farther down the bottle you go. I think this bottle looks absolutely stunning, as do most others from Issey Miyake. Honestly, they all seem to have a very similar design, and I just think they're super cool. Bottom here, we have the volume, concentration, and the batch code. It's a very heavy bottle too, so you never want to pick this one up by the cap. As you can see, or hear, the bottle does click into place, but I still don't trust it. The bottle probably weighs at least 10 times as much as the cap. Just not a good idea to ever pick up your fragrances by the cap. All right, get a spray out of the way here. Great atomizer, long and wide distribution, and that smell, that unique smell that I just can't get enough of. So what I detect is the following. In the opening, I get some orange, some lemon, and some rosemary. In the mid, I get some jasmine, some smoke, and some black salt. And the dry down for me is amberwood, cashmeran, and more smoke. So upon initial spray of this, we're going to be met with some citruses, some orange and some lemon specifically. Now, right off the initial spray, you might not find this overly exciting or overly unique, because it's not. The first 5 or 10 seconds have been done before in perfumery. Honestly, it's just some standard orange and lemon. But just wait. After those initial seconds, we start to get some herbal rosemary. It adds a herbal green touch, ever so slightly camphoric. If you really dig your nose in, the rosemary gives off sort of like an evergreen type of smell. So it's very green, a little bit spicy, slightly camphoric as well. Kind of reminds me of a spicy eucalyptus, we could say that. And in the mid is when things start to push into more obscure and interesting territory, at least as far as I'm concerned. So in the mid here we get some jasmine. Now jasmine is a floral scent. Jasmine is used in a lot of Middle Eastern style fragrances. A lot of times it's paired with rose and oud. Jasmine itself tends to give an animalic floral touch to a lot of fragrances that it's included in. And here's no exception. The jasmine itself doesn't overpower the other notes, but it is noticeable and it is a little bit on the funky side, so beginners beware. And that's paired with some smoke. Now, it's not a clean incense type of smoke. It's like a burnt wood type of smoke. A nice deep, dark smoke accord here. Very nice. And that's also paired with some black salt. So black salt smells a lot like the ocean to me. If you've ever walked next to the ocean, which I'm sure a lot of you have, you'll notice that it has a very salty, fresh, but also sort of sulfuric smell. A lot of times people can liken that to the smell of eggs, for example. I personally don't get that, but I can definitely see where a lot of people might think that this smells a little bit sulfuric, like rotten eggs kind of. To me, I just get a lot of salt. It's fresh to me, and mixed with that smoke and jasmine in the middle makes it very interesting. Challenging, yes, but to me, it just smells so evocative of the ocean. It's the ocean encapsulated in a fragrance. It's realistic. It doesn't hold anything back. The ocean itself smells fresh, but it also has animalic tinges to it. And I definitely think the black salt mixed with the smoke and the jasmine represent that perfectly. I know jasmine isn't really something that we associate with the ocean a lot, but it really adds another depth and slight animalicness to this fragrance. And in the dry down, things start to become a little bit less challenging. So we're met with some amberwood. Amberwood is a sweet, kind of woody, ever so slightly bubblegum-esque type of accord. If you've smelled Invictus by Paco Rabanne, you know what amberwood smells like. So we get a little bit of that in this, not nearly as much as we'd get in Invictus, for example, but the amberwood is here, and it definitely adds a nice, agreeable sweetness to an otherwise slightly challenging note composition. And in the dry down, this is paired with cashmerein. So cashmerein is an aroma chemical, and it's made to smell like a musky wood. Now, I can detect the cashmerein, but bear with me here. I find the cashmerein to be more of an impression. It gives me the impression of fuzziness. It gives me the impression of something staticky, almost similar to freshly washed linen. You know how sometimes you touch that and it gets staticky coming right out of the dryer? That's the overall impression that I get in the bottom. Is it a little bit musky? I guess so. Is it a little bit woody? Maybe there's a touch of wood in there. But overall, like I said, the cashmere gives an impression of fuzziness. It makes this feel kind of soft and a little bit staticky around the edges. I don't know if I'm explaining myself very well, but that is definitely what I get in the bottom of this fragrance here. And last but not least, this finishes off with some more of that slightly dirty smoke in the bottom here. So overall, it definitely is an aquatic scent, but it mimics the smell of the ocean very well. So like I said, the actual smell of the ocean can be somewhat animalic. A lot of times in the designer world, aquatic fragrances don't mimic 100% the actual smell of the ocean. So like I was saying earlier in the video, I've reviewed this one before. Now in this one here, different scents, yes, but that kind of funky floral accord also exists in this one here. Although this one is more so the lotus mixed with some smoke, but it does give an ever so slightly animalic, smoky, floral touch that not everybody is going to be used to. Not everybody is going to appreciate that accord because it does lean a little bit animalic. And in the past, I've reviewed this one, Acqua di Gio Absolute Instinct by Armani. This one here, pretty similar to this one as well. Now, if I must highlight the differences, I would say this one here is a little bit sweeter and it smells less like the ocean than this one, although this does have a very heavy seaweed accord. This one is a little bit sweeter, I find, maybe a little bit more woody as well, as opposed to L'Eau Super Majeure d'Issey. If we're looking for a scent in the designer world that mimics the smell of the ocean almost completely accurately, I have yet to smell a designer that does it as well as L'Eau Super Majeure. So all in all, what we have here is a very realistic, smoky and floral oceanic scent, especially in the middle, the combination of that perhaps slightly sulfuric black salt with the dark smoke and the animalic jasmine can give people the impressions of maybe something animalic, maybe body odor. I definitely, like I said, do not get any of that, but I can see how some people would make that connection, let's say. However, I have to say, as far as aquatics go, this is absolutely one of the most unique I've ever smelled, especially in the designer world. There is a niche fragrance out there called Mega Mare by Orto Parisi, and this one does smell quite similar to that. So Mega Mare is well known as probably the strongest aquatic fragrance in existence right now. It has an animalic, very, very sharp, salty, oceanic smell, very realistic ocean smell. I'm not saying that it's exactly the same as this, but it is quite similar. If I could make another comparison in terms of depth and strength, if Mega Mare is a 12 out of 10, this is more like a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. But this one is not nearly as strong or frankly divisive as Mega Mare. But still, having said that, if you're still relatively new to collecting, this might be a little bit challenging for you. But if you're intermediate or high-level collector and you want something that's aquatic and fresh, but just a little bit animalic, a little bit dirty, and very interesting, you're gonna wanna check this one out. 50 milliliters can be had for $25 US on fragrancebuy.ca. Again, astounding the level of quality of this fragrance for 25 US dollars. Issey Miyake does it again. They're one of the best value designer brands in existence as far as I'm concerned. And you know what? A lot of times when you're paying $25 for a bottle of cologne, honestly, it smells like a $25 cologne. But Issey Miyake is an exception. They continuously release high quality fragrances at very good prices. Honestly, I think a lot of other designer brands should take a page from Issey Miyake's book. One of my absolute favorite designer brands, one of my favorite fragrances from said brand. Super unique, might be a little bit challenging for some people out there, but I think it just smells amazing. It does garner compliments. Despite everything I've said about the slightly animalic tones, it does seem to garner compliments. I will admit that smelling this up close is a little bit different than smelling it from a distance. From a distance, this smells really clean, aquatic. You know, you get a little bit of that smoke and the florals, but it's really only when you dig your nose in up close that you get those animalic tinges. Now, getting onto performance, it's not like a beast mode performer, but I definitely get great performance. An hour and a half elbows length projection, then it becomes a skin scent. Total longevity on my skin is around 7 hours. So for an aquatic fragrance, especially at this price range, I couldn't ask for more. And in fact, the type of fragrance that this is, like I said, it's very realistic when it comes to representing the smell of the ocean. I think a fragrance like this, you wouldn't really want it to be overly strong anyway. I've compared this one to Majeure by Orto Parisi. I personally think Majeure is a little bit strong, even for my tastes. It has a really salty, animalic kind of vibe to it that this one also has, just toned way down. So at the end of the day, like I said, if you're looking for a slightly exotic aquatic fragrance, this is one you're definitely going to want to check out. And at that price, there's really no reason why you shouldn't. But like I said, it could be a little bit challenging, so definitely try to sample this before you buy it if possible. I know it might be a little bit harder to get nowadays than it used to be, but I've been to several different perfumeries and a lot of places do still carry this, so it should be fairly easy to sample this before you buy it. Anyway guys, that's been my review of L'Eau Super Majeure de Issey, another insanely unique, high quality, inexpensive fragrance from Issey Miyake. I just love it, love the brand. If you haven't checked them out yet, definitely check out some Issey Miyake fragrances. That's it for today guys, until next time, keep it real.